Welcome to Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your Raw results for August the 3rd, 2020. Birthdays from August 2nd. Davey Boy Smith Jr., 1985. Austin Theory, 1997. August 3rd birthday. Damian Sandow, 1982. August 4th birthdays. Dean Malenko, 1960. Suicide, 1977. And rounding out birthdays, August 4th. Frankie Kazarian, 1977. Former WWE Superstar Nikki Bella announced her first child was born July 31st on Friday. Nikki and her fiance, Artem Chigvintsev, welcomed their son earlier in the day on Friday. Didn't get this news until late Friday, so that's why it's not on the SmackDown video. Our baby is here, and you can see it is this link, and we couldn't be happier and more in love. Everyone is safe and healthy, Nikki wrote on social media. Also, Bree also had hers 24 hours later, and she had a son. Nikki and partner welcomed them. They also had a baby boy. Bree and Daniel Bryan welcomed their second child less than 24 hours on Saturday. Former WWE Women's Champion Melina took to Instagram at this link on Monday and announced the passing of her father, Prisciliano Perez II. He was 65 years old. Melina noted back on July 28th that her father had been hospitalized on his birthday. Today is my incredible father's birthday, and it hurts my heart so much that earlier today he was admitted to the hospital. He's a strong man, and we are keeping positive. Thank you to those who remembered his birthday today. Your beautiful thoughts and energy is greatly appreciated at this time. I love you all, she wrote one week ago. She then announced his passing on Monday, 1 week later. My father will forever be the best man and the best human being I ever known in my entire life. He is my everything for all eternity, my features, my loving heart, my passion for life, my humor, my values, my strength, my determination, my kindness, my name. Everything I am and have is because of my father. Melina wrote to begin her lengthy tribute. My heart hurts so much. I want to fall apart and drown in my tears because my hero, my strength, and my protector is no longer on this earth. He is my heart, reminding me that I am capable of anything I put my mind to, reminding me to be compassionate, brave, happy, grateful, and strong. And you can see her full tribute at her post. And this link, if I didn't already do it already. Yeah, the one from earlier. This one is a different link, so I'll get it on YouTube. New Japan Pro Wrestling announced that they are launching a new series called NJPW Strong, which will premiere this summer. Of course, now the summer's over with, probably next year. The show will be streaming on NJPW at Worlds starting August the 7th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be Friday. During a press conference, Takami Obari, the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling America, revealed the Strong will be centered around the American NJPW talent. He also noted that the first episode of the show will feature the opening round of a tournament called New Japan Cup USA. Following matches taking place August 7th of Strong, Carl Fredericks versus Kenta, Jeff Cobb versus Tangaloa, David Finlay versus Chase Owens, Brody King versus Tama Tonga. What? Tangaloa and Tama Tonga, I believe, are in the Bullet Club. Fans will see the semifinal match take place on August 14th, followed by the final match of the tournament on August 21st. The winner of the New Japan Cup USA tournament will earn the opportunity to challenge for the IWGP US Championship, currently held by Jon Moxley, who is also your AEW World Champion. One star that unfortunately won't be able to compete inside the ring for the unseeable future is Droese Robinson. NJPW tweeted a message announcing that Robinson is suffering from a leg injury and won't be part of the New Japan Strong broadcast. WWE Hall of Famer Batista is scheduled to appear on CBS The Talk this coming Monday. In other news, a fan brought up how it was speculated that Batista was considered to play the role of Bane in the upcoming 2021 film, The Batman, featuring Robert Pattinson as Batman. Versions of that myself. Unfortunately, it's not. Tried my best. Shrugging emoji. Batista responded, so he didn't get the part. Duke the Dumpster Droese had a tailor-made gimmick for the 1980s, as he was a garbage man who would often use his trash can as a weapon. He had a 2-year stunt with WWE in the mid-1990s, but essentially retired from the ring afterwards, apart for some one-offs. At this link, he discussed what led him to leaving the wrestling industry when he talked to Spencer Love of the WCSN. People say, when did you quit watching? It was the Katie Vick incident, revealed Droese. What I'll say is, I'll see people talk about certain matches on social media in the comment section. I'll listen to people argue about wrestling, and if something catches my interest, I'll go check it out on YouTube or something. I don't even own a TV. I don't even watch TV. He added, I don't have any of the stuff. I don't have the WWE Network or any of that kind of stuff. I do have internet, which gives me YouTube. But yeah, that's about the extent of it. I don't watch any of the current wrestling except to catch something after the fact. If enough people are talking about it, I'll check it out. Since he no longer follows the day-to-day going on in pro wrestling, Droese was asked if he still considers himself a wrestling fan. Yes, I would. I would attend to try and watch. I'm still a fan of a lot of the older stuff. I just joined a group on Facebook that is strictly Championship Wrestling from Florida from the old days. And I love wrestling, watching that because that's the stuff I grew up on, said Droese. I love watching the old WWE stuff, older than my time even. But I do still consider myself a fan. One of the other reasons besides the Katie Vick incident that I stopped watching wrestling was, and it is the truth, and a lot of wrestlers will say this, is a lot of the storylines are the same. It's the same old thing, rehearsed over and over, or rehashed over and over. History repeats itself, and all they do is they just plug in new names. Basically, a lot of storylines are things they've done many times over and over again. So from our standpoint, it's kind of redundant, a bit tedious. But again, I will try to keep up with some of it. If something spurs my interest, I will try to catch it. Maybe on a replay, or on YouTube, or something like that. Droese's complaints with the product are similar to the ones lots of fans have. Even though he's mostly stayed away from wrestling, he did revive the dumpster gimmick for the gimmick battle royal on WrestleMania 17. He also talked about other comeback attempts prior to that, and asking for advice from two of WWE's biggest stars. Well, I tried to come back, and they made me try out, which was interesting. It's like, why do you need to see me try out if you already know how I wrestle? And I also had to try out about the same time with WCW. I was trying to get into both. I wanted to get into either one, admitted Droese. It was interesting because during the time I was getting ready for those tryouts, I asked advice from a couple of people. One was Bret Hart, one was Stone Cold Steve Austin. I asked what they thought I should do, and Bret Hart said to both of them, that was a professional thing to do. And Austin, who you could tell he was getting ready to take off, but he had not fully, he was on his rise, But anyway, Austin said, just pick one, because these are very vindictive people. If you do both, you'll probably piss everybody off. Well, once again, I took the wrong advice. I took Bret Hart's advice, and I did both. Josie explained, apparently I pissed everybody off because they didn't bring me back in, either one of them. So then fast forward to the time I came around for WrestleMania 17. I was severely addicted to drugs. I was going to a methadone clinic in Miami. So I was in no shape to wrestle. In fact, I had to bring some methadone on the road with me so I didn't get sick during the WrestleMania weekend. So I was just kind of hiding in the locker room. I really didn't want to see a lot of people. It was just a kind of weird feeling. Everybody was really nice to me, but I was just happy to get in and get out of there and just get the payday because, like I said, I was in no condition to wrestle. He continued on. At that point, I wasn't trying to come back. I was just trying to get a payday and get out of there. Randy Orton shared on Instagram at this link that his oldest child graduated from high school. He also shared that his son wore a WWE title at the graduation ceremony. Orton wrote, this video was taken just before my oldest at Michael Kessler, 24, high school graduation ceremony. At the ceremony now, so proud of this kid. Hopefully he doesn't trip on a gown on his way down, on the way up the stage. Well, let's just say at Kim.Orton01, I have a friendly bet that someone will. Hall of Famer Ric Flair recently appeared on Bleacher Report Ring Rust Radio and gave an update on his daughter Charlotte Flair. Charlotte reportedly underwent surgery to fix a lingering implant issue on Saturday, July 25th, my mom's birthday, and while there was no word yet on when she will be back in action, word last week was that surgery went well. Nature Boy told Ring Rust Radio that his daughter is doing great. She's great, doing great. She, of course, is climbing the walls. Rick said of Charlotte wanting to return to action. I just got a text from her about half an hour ago. Dad, I'm going crazy. She is so intense and so invested in her business, in the product, and her work ethic. This surgery was something that had to take place. WWE had hoped that Charlotte would be back in time for SummerSlam August 23rd, but it was reported last week that there is no chance that she will be cleared in time for the pay-per-view. WWE is reportedly delaying an announcement on the 2021 Royal Rumble pay-per-view to see if the COVID-19 is going to take effect and thus be back in the Performance Center. Still in 2021. As recently, it has Stage 2 has still delayed another 3 weeks, 21 days. I'm tired of this mask crap. Tired of having asthma attacks because of the mask. Well, it was reported today by Russell Votes that WWE planned on announcing the 2021 Royal Rumble date and location in early August. However, word now is that the announcement is now on hold as details on the event are likely changing. No word yet on if the COVID-19 is the reason for the Rumble change, but it seems likely. WWE has dealt with numerous schedule changes since the outbreak hit in March. There has been hope that WWE will be able to resume normal live events with at least some fans this fall, but that has not been confirmed. Well, AEW has had their talent in the crowds without masks. Big difference between WWE and AEW. I don't know. It was announced that former WWE champion The Rock, longtime business partner of Danny Garcia, and the partners at Redbird Capital have purchased the XFL from Vince McMahon. The group has reportedly purchased the league for only $15 million, split evenly. It was noted that the deal would be subject to bankruptcy court approval, which is to be done at a hearing on Friday. The sale was expected to close on or shortly after Friday, August 21st. In addition to all the XFL's assets, the deal would see Rock's group take on certain specified liabilities and finance $8.5 million towards any payments that are needed to take care of previous financial defaults from the previous owner, none other than Vince McMahon and his stable. In an update, the official committee of unsecured creditors for Alpha Entertainment, the XFL's parent company, started by McMahon, has filed a motion to stop the sale of the XFL's assets to Alpha Aquico LLC, which is the new LLC started by The Rock and is partners for the purchase of the league. A 13-page motion was filed this afternoon by the XFL's unsecured creditors asking the court to pause the sale. According to PW Insider, the motion cites that Alpha Entertainment has an ongoing obligation to negotiate terms with the proposed buyer that are almost favorable to the estate and do not unduly prejudice its creditors. The proposed APA, however, does not reflect such terms and seeks to strip the estate of valuable assets for no consideration. Well, if they're under bankruptcy, it can be bought out, lock, stock, and barrel at that point. They have no say-so in whatsoever. As such, the committee has significant concerns that the sale contemplated with the proposed buyer does not satisfy the sound business purpose test and is not the best interest of the debtor's estate. The motion also claims that Alpha Entertainment has failed to value significant assets that are now being included in the sale, but were not contemplated as part of the assets to be purchased in the form asset purchase agreement prepared by Alpha Entertainment. The creditors are concerned that XFL assets are being sold at a lesser value than what they are worth, and that the creditors could end up receiving nothing or very little from the sale to the Rock's group, and that there are assets included with the sale that were not part of the financial evaluation of Alpha Entertainment when it filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy earlier this year. Well, if you file bankruptcy, you lose whatever assets, because there are no assets when you file bankruptcy. But didn't they do out with Chapter 11, but you could only do the full bankruptcy, Chapter 7? Comment in the comment section if you know anything about that. Okay, more on the motions that states. This objection is filed to preserve the committee's right to submit these issues to the court, including objections for the form of sale order. For education, if they cannot resolve prior to the sale hearing. In the interim, the committee will continue to engage in good faith negotiations with the debtor, the XFL, and the proposed buyer, Rock's LLC, regarding the objection raised herein in an effort to resolve the issues consensually. The motion notes that how the creditors are concerned about decisions made in regards to a quick sale resolving a limited subset of potential claims, while also noting that the committee is at the loss with respect to claims that the debtor may have against insiders. As noted above and in the other filings with the court, the committee has identified substantial potential causes of action against insiders, including millions of dollars in payments made within a one-year insider preference period. Heck, the season barely even got started. Questionable long transactions within the days and weeks leading up to the bankruptcy, and questionable actions and decisions made by the certain insiders of the debtor. These claims may have very real value to the debtor's estate and to the unsecured creditors that were prejudiced by the insider conduct prior to the filing of the case, and that will be further impaired if the sale includes the insider claims and if retained by the estate could form a significant source of recovery for the debtor's many aggrieved creditors. Stay tuned for updates on the motion, as the court has not had a chance to rule on anything yet. If anybody else was going to buy it, they wouldn't have a dang thing to say. They're just mad because The Rock is buying it, because he's got other game shows in process on TV as well. A new faction is coming to Raw on tonight's show. WWE.com has learned of a new faction arriving on Raw tonight. Of course, they do the storytelling and the script writing. Superstars comprising this faction has not been revealed yet, but rumblings around the WWE Performance Center say that the group is out to cause chaos and shake up the organization structure. WWE has revealed the name of the new stable that debuted in a brief segment on last night's Raw. I didn't catch it myself, but the group is being called Retribution. As noted, last night's Raw featured a quick surveillance camera segment that had footage of a small group of men dressed as ninjas, of men and women approaching an electrical transformer in the parking lot of the WWE Performance Center. The group was wearing all black attire with hoodies on. Ninjas. Just like from NXT, would occur towards all. And was shown yelling and cheering as they threw firebombs or molten cocktails, or Molotov cocktails at the pieces of electrical equipment. They continued to cheer as the electrical equipment caught fire, and they ran off into the night. WWE issued an announcement this afternoon and confirmed that Retribution was to be blamed for the various technical difficulties seen during Raw's broadcast. The WWE announcement noted that little is known about the new faction, but that their sole motivation seems to be causing chaos in WWE. The initial reaction among fans on social media was that the group may be inspired by the Antigua. However, it was reported by Pro Wrestling Sheet on Monday that the group is not political and that the storyline is specific to WWE, not current happenings in the country. The idea behind the new stable is that they will use any means necessary to get the attention of WWE officials, and that they are trying to loosen control over WWE Superstars and change the way the company operates. It was also reported that members of the stable are being kept close to the vest by top WWE officials and would not be immediately revealed. There has been some fan speculation that we may see Retribution on both Raw and SmackDown, but WWE's announcement indicates that this will be a red brand storyline only. That could always be changed. There are several rumors going around on WWE possibly announcing a new shoot fight style, which was debuted on Raw. Supposedly a tournament, or even during tonight's Raw episode. Was it a tournament, as they just had some fights? Whoever won kept on going. Also noted by WrestleVotes, there has been word that a new concept will be announced tonight on Raw. One was raising eyebrows backstage at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando. In an update, the Voices of Wrestling Twitter account first noted the new concept, which apparently will have the returning Shane McMahon involved for his coming back to WWE TV. Is something akin to Brawl for All, which is the shoot tournament that WWE held during the Attitude Era. Their rumor noted that these shoot fights would be complete with female dancers hired as extras to provide atmosphere for the concept. Furthermore, local Florida reporter John Alba noted on Twitter that he also heard a ton of rumblings going around that a shoot fight tournament in WWE. Alba later noted that there is at least some accuracy to the rumors, but the announcement on Raw will be about the shoot fighting concept. There's no word on if it will be an actual tournament or something worked. It was noted on Raw is totally unprepared and that the issues stem from chaos from the top. According to Gary Cassidy of Sportskeeda, which was first reported by Ringside News, WWE taped 2 Raw episodes at the Performance Center in Orlando. But word is that the first episode, airing tonight, is changing on the fly, while the second episode is apparently still incomplete. So they have to do it a 2-day event. It was not done on Monday. It was done on Tuesday and Wednesday. The report also noted that there is a lack of leadership and a lot of stress due to indecisiveness. Well, they got new people doing scripting, so take it for that. A source close to the situation reportedly said the show will happen and air, but there's no attainable goal of quality because everything is decided under the pressure cooker, as it's all coming down to a very last minute. It seems like there have been constant creative behind-the-scenes issues with Raw and SmackDown as of late, but it was noted that what's going on today seems even wilder than usual. WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon was at the Raw tapings, but this mood was described as volatile as a result of the chaos and indecisiveness. Police in Columbus, Georgia, have reportedly investigated former WWE Superstar Marty Jannetty over a bizarre Facebook post he made on Monday morning, but was shortly after that deleted. According to TMZ, also noted, Jannetty posted about how he allegedly murdered a gay man who tried to sexually assault him behind a Victory Lanes bowling alley where they both worked. Well, if he was only 13 at the time, then that was against the child labor law to begin with. When Jannetty was 13, he said he had been buying marijuana from the man. Apparently, the man also works behind the desk as a clerk, cashier. Jannetty also indicated that he got rid of the body by dumping it into Chattahoochee River. The post was deleted soon after it was posted, but you can read original report, which, well, since it was deleted, it's no longer there. Columbus, Georgia Police Department told TMZ that they are going to look at the claim. We're going to look into this, spokesperson for the CPD, Homicide, and Cold Case Division said. The first step will be seeing if we have any missing person or unidentified remains cases that match the limited information in the post. The Jannetty investigation won't receive priority and won't be any kind of all hands on deck situation, as the spokesperson noted that they have several current active homicide investigations ongoing underway, and they will have precedence to remain priority. Jannetty noted in his original post that his brother Gino had just returned from the Vietnam War when this incident happened. The former WWE Intercontinental and Tag Team Champion was born in February 1960, so he would have turned 13 in 1973. The Vietnam War officially ended in 1975, 2 years later, but the troops had been returning at various times before the war ended. So they would have to go back from when he was 13 to find out when it exactly happened. For what it's worth, the Chattahoochee River does run through the Columbus area. There's also records of a Victory Lanes family bowling center in Columbus at some point, and the facility was located on Port Benning Road, which is right next to Chattahoochee River. According to F4WOnline.com, WWE reportedly signed former Evolve wrestler Anthony Green. The news was first reported on Saturday morning by Sportskeeda. Anthony Green started with Evolve in 2018. He wrestled Josh Briggs during Evolve's 10th anniversary celebration that aired on the WWE Network. One of Green's last matches for Evolve was against Mansoor, who was also in NXT at the present time. It was reported in July that WWE purchased Evolve Wrestling. The existing Evolve WWN Wrestling talent contracts were not for sale. As noted a few days ago, former Evolve wrestler Leon Ruff signed a WWE deal as well. It looks like the superstars of WWE may be getting some new opportunities in the coming months. WWE reportedly planning another draft between Raw and SmackDown. According to Dave Meltzer on the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, there were originally 5 different dates being considered for the new draft, but it has now been narrowed down to 2 possible dates in October. Meltzer also notes that up till last week, the draft was set to take place at some point this month. He says that it may end up being moved to September. Moved up some. Moved backwards. But whatever the date may be, WWE intends to hold another draft in the coming months. No word yet on if NXT superstars will be included in the capacity of the upcoming draft. Last year, the Street Profits were called up to the Raw as part of the event. Previous WWE draft took place on 1 week after SmackDown debuted on Fox in October 2019. Well, I guess it's perfect time, annual draft. It continued on Raw the following week and included an opportunity to trade stars post-draft. And being that, the trade were still going. Last month, there was a trade. Notable stars, such as AJ Styles. He went from Raw to SmackDown. The switch. Notable stars that switched to the Blue brand during the 2019 draft were The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. He went to SmackDown. Sasha Banks, current WWE Universal Champion, Braun Strowman on the red side. Notable acquisitions include Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and Charlotte Flair. Well, Kevin Owens, a couple weeks back, had recently stated he wants to go back to NXT. And your Raw results for this week opens up with a standard video package. Live from the tape delay from representing Orlando, Florida, Tom Phillips welcomes us to the show. He's chimed in by Samoa Joe Byron Saxon. There was word that Samoa Joe would be involved in some type of faction. That did not happen. I think he was reportedly to be with the forgotten their tag team name. They previously had a manager, but didn't happen. Developmental trainees cheer in the crowd. U.S. title match first. MVP versus Apollo Crews. We go right to the ring for tonight's opening match. U.S. champion Apollo Crews makes his way out. The lights go out when he's posing in the corner. Completely go out in the arena. Lights come back on. Tom says there's been some bad weather in the area. Hurt Business is now out next. MVP with Bobby Lashley and WWE 24/7 current champion Shelton Benjamin. MVP is wearing the new U.S. title belt, while Crews is wearing the one WWE has used for years. We get formal ring instructions from Mike Rowe. Double belts on the line. MVP takes the mic and rants about how he's the real champion here. Who does he think he is? Ric Flair? We will continue representing the Hurt Business as a real champion, and Crews can go back to hanging out in the catering with Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. The bell hits, rings, and the lights are flickering again. They go at it again up on the mat. Trading holds. Crews with a 2 count. MVP gets up. Crews quickly kips up and stares him down for a pop. Lashley and Benjamin look on from outside the ring. MVP keeps control, working Crews around as the lights flicker some more. Lashley looks around. Crews comes back with a snap suplex for 3 quick pin attempts. Crews mounts MVP and works him over, grounding him in the middle ring. Crews keeps MVP grounded by his arm, working on his arm. MVP fights out and lands a big forearm to the face. MVP then follows up with a running boot to drop Crews. Crews fights back and unloads with strikes. MVP ends up on the floor for a breather with his partners. The lights flicker again, and they check on him. Crews runs the ropes and leaves out, taking all 3 members of the Hurt Business out, knocking them down. And Crews gets back in the ring as MVP lays out on the outside in the melee. Crossbody. Back from the break. MVP has Crews grounded now. Lashley was able to get a cheap shot in while the referee wasn't looking. MVP continues to ground Crews in the middle ring. Crews fights back and bounces off the ropes, but MVP levels him with a forearm and covers for a pair of pin attempts. MVP with more offense while Cruz is down for a 2 count. MVP uses the bottom rope to choke Cruz. And hurt his neck now. Using camel clutch, Lashley and Benjamin look on smiling. MVP with more offense to dominate. MVP beats Cruz in the corner now. MVP charges with a running boot, but Cruz moves and he gets stuck on the ring post. Cruz rocks MVP and hits flying crossbody. Cruz mounts offense and hits several shoulder thrusts in the corner now. Cruz gets a pop as he keeps fighting. More back and forth. MVP with a release German suplex on his neck, but Cruz gets right back up and hits a big toss powerbomb for the pin to retain. After the match, Lashley hits the ring to go for the full Nelson, but Cruz dodges him and retreats up the ramp with the title, both titles. Music hits and Benjamin and Lashley check on MVP in the ring. Cruz stands tall and raises both titles on the ramp as we go to replays. We come back to Cruz with Charlie Caruso in the back. After all, the referee brought him the other belt. Cruz says he's the rightful U.S. champion. He gives praise to Lashley for being strong and comments on being stuck at him over the past few weeks because of that. Cruz says it hurt for his kids to look at him and say they thought he was the U.S. champion while seeing MVP on TV. Cruz goes on and says he's going to hang the old title on his kid's bedroom wall so they can have the first title their dad ever won. And he's going to carry this new title. Cruz walks off. MVP confronts the announcers at ringside. Pissed off. He asks what's up with the lights going out and the unsafe working environment. Blames that on why he lost. He says they should be ashamed of themselves. He should. So should Cruz. He rants some more about unsafe working conditions and how Cruz stole the title tonight. Hey, what's he doing? What's he doing? The WCW thing? Right to censor? MVP doesn't care about Cruz's wife or kids, but he does care about his rematch. MVP wants the rematch. Benjamin says something in his ear. MVP says he wants a rematch at SummerSlam. The Hurt Business walks off. We see the Golden Role Models backstage getting ready for a match. We go backstage to see a shadowy security guard standing outside what looks to be Shane McMahon's office. I didn't see no security guard. It was just a dark figure, silhouette. Kind of like what you do in a mystery partner in a tag team match. Tom says we've been hearing rumors, something new in WWE. Something that is the brainchild of Shane. We will find out more later. Back to commercial. Back for the break. Cheryl Sharp is in the back with WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. Raw Women's Champions Sasha Banks and Bayley. They're asked if any titles will be defended at SummerSlam. They mock and insult Schreiber, keeping up their new, extremely annoying gimmick. They say they brought something special, and it's a video package on how dominant they are, and the recent Raw Women's title change, voiced by someone who might do a better motion picture trailer. We cut right to Asuka backstage ranting and yelling. In Japanese, that is. She says revenge is very, very sweet. That's all she said in English. We go back to Banks and Bayley. They're upset with Asuka's interruption to their video. They go on about how unprofessional this is. Shayna Baszler interrupts them and says it looks like they're having fun. Baszler says her problem is how Banks snaked her way to the title. Baszler says she's been waiting for her chance to have some fun. She drops Banks with one shot. Bayley checks on Banks, but looks like she wants none of Baszler. Baszler walks off. There's nothing more than a slap to the face. Iconics approach Kevin Owens backstage and they want to be his guest tonight. He's not interested because he's already got a guest. Owens tells them to deal with it and have a bottle of water. He walks off. They take the water, but they don't drink it. We go back to the ring for another must-see edition of the KO show. Kevin Owens hits the ring, and we go back to commercial. Back for the ring, Owens has the mic. He says there's a lot of interesting things happening tonight, including the return of Shane McMahon. Owens had some thoughts on Shane, but he had something else to talk about. He's experiencing some microphone difficulties. Microphones got cut off. He goes on and says he wants to talk about something with a friend of his. He introduces tonight's guest, and out comes Ruby Riott. Owens brings up how she got emotional after her recent win over Peyton Royce. Riott goes on about how she hasn't had much success since returning, and how the Iconics have just put salt in that wound. She's dealt with women like this all of her life. But last week, she finally got to shut up Peyton Royce. She said the only thing that could have made the moment better was if Liv Morgan could have shared it with her. Owen jumps the gun a bit and says he was excited. He says Morgan is here. Mrs. hits how she comes to the ring. Owen thanks her for coming. Liv tells Ruby she asked Liv to hear her out, and Owens convinced her to come. And she doesn't believe it at all. Owen starts talking, but he's having more mic troubles. He recalls how the Riott Squad was once special, but Sarah Logan has moved on to another chapter in her life. But that doesn't have to mean what they had is over. He believes that they bring the best out in each other. Owens goes on about how he's treated a lot of other people wrong and had done bad things because at the time he thought it was best for his career. But now he's not sure. He goes on and says it might be worth it to hear Ruby out. Riott talks about how she returned to Liv coming into her own. Liv defeated her. She realized she wasn't needed. Sarah wasn't here, and she took it out on Liv. Riott says she was wrong to do that. Riott is crying when she talks about the tattoo that they all got. Their debut date, Riott asks one more chance. Because they got the tattoo on the back of their neck. They even Liv put her hand on her neck. She asked for one more chance to make the Riott Squad as strong as it's ever been. Music is up, and out comes the Iconics to booze as they ask for a tag team match. Once Owens says he had nothing to do with them coming out. Royce goes on about how everyone is sick of hearing Liv and Riott carry on about what no one cares about. She says Liv should have stayed in the bathtub. Kay goes on knocking Riott's one win and many losses. Kay is having microphone trouble as well. Royce is also having microphone issues as well. Iconics in the ring now, keeping up the trash talking. Liv says it's true. She and Riott are not friends like the Iconics, but there's one thing that they will always agree on. No one starts a riot better than them. Riott stands next to Liv and smiles now. Owens suggests the Iconics leave so that they can continue their talk. Iconics tell Liv and Riott they have nothing on them. The challenge is laid out for a match. Owens gets slapped by Royce after asking for more technical difficulties on the Iconics microphones only. He asks if what was really necessary. Kay slaps him next, so both Iconics have slapped Owens. Owens turns to Liv and Riott and asks for a little help. And as he does, they start taking the Iconics out, sends them retreating as the crowd cheers. We go to commercial. Back for the break. Large security guard is seen outside of Shane's room again. A man with a tray of drinks walks by, but backs off when he sees the large, intimidating guard, who is the W Performance Center recruit Jordan Almagdahan. He recently played the role of one of Akira Tozawa's ninjas. The Iconics versus Riott Squad. So they broke him free from the ninja gimmick. So he wasn't with the ninjas later on? No, because they were all 205 Live size. Well, we come back to the ring and the match is underway with Billy Kay going at it with Ruby Riott. Kevin Owens on commentary. Kay with a neck breaker for a 2 count. Peyton Royce tags in and works Riott over with a quick 2 count. Royce manhandles Riott some and keeps her grounded in the middle of the ring. Liv rallies from the apron. Riott fights up and out, but gets dropped on her head. Kay tags back in for double teaming on Riott. Billy talks some trash and levels Riot. Riot fights free and tags in Liv. As Peyton also comes in, Liv unloads on Peyton. Liv with a missile drop kick for the second rope. Liv goes on to covers Royce for a 2 count as Kay saves her. Liv and Kay tangle now. Liv rolls her up out of nowhere for the pin and the win. And the Riot Squad win the match. After the match, music hits, but the Iconics immediately double team Liv. Riot runs in to make the save. Liv and Riot fight them off and hit double team on Kay in the middle of the ring. Liv and Riot leave together as the music hits. Still to come segment. Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton will meet face to face back in Marshall. Tom says there was almost some kind of accident backstage earlier. He sends that to Charlie Caruso. She's wearing a bunch of production boxes and equipment fell over. She was told that these had to do with the lights glitching and everything else going on. And it was no accident. MVP walks up and he's still not happy with the unsafe working conditions and his loss from earlier. Caruso reveals that Apollo Crews has accepted his U.S. title rematch at SummerSlam. Shelton Benjamin walks up and says someone has stolen his 24/7 title. MVP says they will find out who did this and teach them a lesson. They walk off. But everybody knows that R-Truth has been trying to get his baby back. Not the baby back ribs, but he calling it the title his baby. As he won it like a million times. Because the ring out comes WWE Champion Drew McIntyre. We see how he got hit by Randy Orton's RKO last week on Raw. Drew checks the mic and says Orton has been preying on vulnerability for 20 years. He mentioned last week's attack and thanks Orton for the lesson learned. Drew says it will never happen again. Drew says he knows that motivated Orton last week. He knows Orton is just as motivated to take the WWE title as he is to keep it. Drew goes on and mentions how Vince McMahon once told them both that they would be the future of WWE. Drew says Orton had everything handed to him and that spoon-fed to him because of his dad. He also mentions Evolution and how they always cleaned up for Orton and his mistakes. Drew admits to his own mistakes and says he deserves to get fired years ago. He says Orton left enough of his own crap behind him and should have been fired long before Drew was. Which sounds like a reverse to Orton's defecating in people's bags. Drew keeps on until the music interrupts and out comes Orton with Hall of Famer Ric Flair on the stage. Orton interrupts Drew and admits he should have been fired multiple times. Orton says he was given chances over and over because he is the chosen one and the best ever. Orton challenges Drew to come up with something original against him. Drew lays the title down in the middle of the ring. Drew says he thinks Orton represents everything wrong in WWE. Drew recalls how The Undertaker talked about pulling Orton to his level in the Last Ride documentary. Drew says Orton has never done the same to an up-and-coming wrestler in WWE. He's never passed on the knowledge that legends pass on to Orton. Drew recalls Orton walking past him in a catering years ago. Drew's life was troubling. Professionally, personally, his mother was sick, and he was far from home. Orton could have said something, and it would have went a long way, but he didn't. Drew doesn't see a leader in front of him. He sees a selfish prick. Orton is still looking on from the stage with Flair. Drew now goes on about how he's going to have receipts from current and some former roster members at SummerSlam. And he's going to destroy Orton. For everyone Orton has kicked in the head over the years and done wrong. Drew's music hits and they stare each other down to end the segment. We see Nia Jax and WWE producer Pat Buck backstage talking. This is the same producer she was fined for assaulting last week. Back to commercial. Back for the break, Kevin Owens is with the Riot Squad in the back. WWE Hall of Famer Ric Flair walks up and wants to talk with Owens. Flair says everyone on the roster loves Owens, and Owens is trying to help everyone without looking out for himself. Owens defends his actions in helping the Riot Squad because they are his friends. Owens says he sacrificed friendship to get to the top in the past, but now he wants to be a different person. One who people can look up to in the locker room. Owens wants to be what Randy Orton could be. Flair says he's in Orton's corner and Owens needs to listen to his advice. They go on, and Flair says maybe Owens could get a title shot like Orton if he listens to Flair. Owens tells Flair to get Orton to beat him in the ring next week, and he will show what he's made of. Flair taunts him some, and Owens walks off. We go to the ring, and we get Nia Jax out with a microphone. She calls out Pat Buck. Well, she calls him out, but he's there. Jack shows us what happened last week when he hit Samoan drop on Buck, and she and Shayna Baszler were brawling and fighting off security. Jack sounds like she's about to apologize, but she mentions fans are adoring her and calling Buck a scrawny little runt who couldn't cut in his own career. She turns around and she acts like she didn't know Buck was there listening. She knows Buck is looking for an apology, but she's here to give him an opportunity to prove something. A match against her. Buck says he's only in the ring because he was told an apology was coming. Jack says she will apologize after their match. They can settle it right here. She says this is his big opportunity. Once he'd never get if it wasn't for her. Jack's promises to start off real slow so Buck's little legs can keep up. Buck suggests that they leave it if she's not going to apologize. Jack goes on and mocks him for being a ginger with his red hair. She says that they don't have to speak in private. He can say what they need to say. She shoves the microphone in his chest. Buck says, due to her actions, Jax is now indefinitely suspended without pay. Jax gets angry and he tells her to relax. Breathe. Jax says he has no authority to do this. Jax ends up dropping Buck to boos. The boos get louder as Jax kicks Buck out of the ring. Jax storms off as Buck sits up and recovers at ringside. R-Truth suddenly runs down. He's holding Shelton Benjamin's 24/7 title. Everybody knew he had the title. Truth is being chased around by Benjamin and the Kuratori's ninjas. We go to commercial before the triple threat kicks off. Triple threat for the W 24/7 title. R-Truth versus Kuratori's versus Shelton Benjamin. Back from the break, 24/7 champion Shelton Benjamin is in the ring. MVP and Bobby Lashley are also at ringside. Akira is also in the ring. R-Truth's music hits and he hesitates but makes his way in. Benjamin takes control early on, dominating. Shelton takes Truth out, and here comes Tozawa in ninja mode. Benjamin ends up fighting him off and hitting a huge powerbomb in the middle of the ring. Benjamin goes for Truth in the corner. Now, but Truth ducks several shots and sends Shelton back with a kick. Truth goes on, but misses a scissor kick. Benjamin comes right back with a pay dirt for a pop. One of Tozawa's ninjas runs in and tries to intimidate Benjamin, but Benjamin levels him with a big kick. Benjamin takes out another ninja, while MVP and Lashley do the same to another pair of ninjas at ringside. Tozawa takes advantage of the distraction and hits a big senton on Truth, who is still down from the pay dirt in the ring, covering for the pin and wins the title. Winner new champion Akira Tozawa. After the match, Tozawa celebrates and retreats with the title as we get a replay. Disappointing Shelton regroups with MVP and Lashley in the ring. The camera cuts to Shane McMahon in a warehouse setting. Of course, it's inexcusable. We got several rings around with no ring post. There's a ring with no ropes, black apron cover. A referee is watching as two competitors go out on the mat. Well, if you know what shoe style is, look up MMA as well. The ring is surrounded by a group of competitors pounding on the mat over and over. Shane walks us and says he's bringing something new to Raw. He invites everyone to join him at 10 p.m. for Raw Underground. We go to commercial. Well, 10 p.m. Probably the third hour. Dominic Mysterio is backstage with Sarah Schreiber. Well, after he invited everyone to join him at 10 p.m. for Raw Underground, we go to commercial. We see what happened last week, where Dominic snapped on Seth Rollins and Murphy with a kendo stick. Schreiber asks why he keeps showing up at Raw where there is risk. Dominic says he's doing this because he witnessed his dad, Rey Mysterio, get blinded. So it's understandable that his mind hasn't been in the right place as of late. He says if anyone thinks he's crazy now, they're really going to think he's crazy when he challenges Rollins to a match at SummerSlam. Dominic walks off. Next, we got Sasha Banks versus Shayna Baszler. We go back to the ring for out first comes Shayna Baszler for the non-title match. Out next comes Raw Women's Champion. Well, Women's Champion and Tag Team Champion as we get louder. Raw Women's Champion Sasha Banks with SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley in her corner. The bell rings and they meet in the middle ring. Banks starts talking trash about being the boss. She slaps Baszler and Baszler smiles. Banks continues running her mouth. Baszler attacks and goes to work on Bayley, looking on from ringside. Baszler teases Banks with a kick and spares her. Playing mind games, Baszler controls Banks and stomps on her head. Baszler with a two count. Banks fights back and keeps raining on Baszler. Banks ends up dropping Banks into an armbar. Bayley ends up trying to go for Bayley. Bayley ends up trying to go, but Banks takes advantage and unloads a Baszler. Banks with a 2 count. Banks focuses on Baszler's arm now. Bayley is also talking trash from ringside. Banks grounds Baszler again and works her over in the middle of the ring. The crowd rallies and Baszler fights up and out, ramming Banks into the corner with thrusts as the referee counts. Banks sends Baszler face first in the turnbuckles. Banks drops Baszler and hits a crossbody from the second rope. But Baszler rolls through and picks her up. Baszler then manhandles Banks into a nasty neckbreaker. Baszler blocks 2 kicks and goes for a curl feeder clutch, but Banks resists. Banks with a stomp to the back, more back and forth. Banks drops Baszler into a bank segment in the middle of the ring. Baszler flies up and out, but Banks takes her down with a head scissor. Banks rocks Baszler and runs her mouth, but Baszler comes right back with a big kick to the head, and that drops Banks. Asuka suddenly appears at ringside, attacking Bayley and bending her down against the barrier. Referee calls for the match. For some reason, no contest. After the bell, Banks grabs both title belts and retreats as Asuka hits the ring. She joins Bayley at ringside. While she's down, Asuka taunts Banks from the ring as Banks yells, "No," over and over. Back to commercial. Back from the break, we see how Bayley attacked Kairi Sane backstage last week, allowing Sasha Banks to win the Raw Women's title from Asuka by countout. We also see footage of Bayley and Banks celebrating in the ring. Asuka's in the ring with Charlie Caruso now. Charlie asks how Kairi Sane is. Asuka gets hyped up and says Sane is not here right now. But she is, and she wants a rematch from Banks at SummerSlam. Shayna Baszler approaches Asuka. Baszler isn't here to fight. She's rooting on Asuka to win the title back at SummerSlam. Baszler says she will be excited to dismember Asuka and take the title off her. Music interrupts. Out comes Sasha Banks and Bayley with all their gold. Banks brags on being champion and says she will grant Asuka the SummerSlam title shot if she can defeat Bayley next week. Bayley doesn't look thrilled, but this idea was Banks. But Banks is, and Asuka is. Of course, they're giving it back to each other. Angel Garza's backstage with Jimmy Burnett from The Bachelor. He gets her phone number and gives her a rose, even though in real life he's married. Andrade walks up and there's Zelina Vega. Vega doesn't think Burnett belongs, but Andrade says she does. Part 2 of the Raw finale. And we're at the point where Garza goes to follow them, but stops to tell Burnett that he will see her soon after his match. She thanks him and looks forward to it. The camera cuts back to Raw Underground. Shane is at ringside with men and women as another match goes on in the ropeless square circle. Shane hops on the apron and declares the winner. He walks over to another area of the warehouse setting and we see women dancing on stage. Very similar to Nitro Girls, I guess. I didn't see that part of it. Shane says, wait until you see what Raw Underground has next. Back to commercial. Back from the break, Shane McMahon welcomes us to Raw Underground. We see the women dancing on the stage. Again, Shane says this is where there are very little rules. Lots or carnage and chaos. Lots of things he likes to see. Shane goes on and introduces the 7-foot-tall Babatunde Ayabushi, who has been with NXT since 2016. His new name is Dabakato. Shane hypes the big man up. Shane goes to introduce the next guy, but tells him he's on his own. Shane gets out of the way, and the bell rings. Smaller guy charges, but he misses. Dabakato unloads on him and easily wins the fight. Shane asks, who wants next? Another random, plain-looking guy steps up, wearing jeans. He fights, but the big man, Dabakato, slams him and beats him with forearms. Referee and Shane call the match. Shane congratulates the big man on his impressive debut and thanks him for tonight. Shane asks, who's next? Who's he thinking he is? Goldberg? He says Raw Underground will be back. Raw announcers say Shane is into something. Joe likes it. Tom says Shane is lining up another fight. Angel Garza versus Angelo Dawkins. We go to the ring. Out comes Raw Texas Champions, the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. They do some comedy, and Dawkins talks about how he's going to try and get with Garza's new friends later tonight. Jimmy Burnett from The Bachelor. Ford ends up getting serious in his promo, and he's not happy with Andrade and Garza attacking his brother. Well, Angelo is also married. They had their first kid a few weeks ago. This is real, and we'll get serious at SummerSlam. All 4 SummerSlam opponents will be in action tonight. Angel Garza is out next with Andrade and Angel Garza. Bell rings and Dawkins goes at it with Garza. Dawkins sends Garza into the ring post, then to the floor. Dawkins follows and runs around the ring, launching Garza into the plexiglass barrier. Garza lands hard on the floor as we go to commercial. Back from the break, Garza fights Dawkins off, but Dawkins comes back with a big slam for a 2 count. Dawkins goes on and leads another drop kick for a 2 count. We see Demi backstage watching the match, holding her rose from Garza. Dawkins goes for a power bomb, but Garza fights out and to the corner. He loses his pants, his gimmick, and then nails the drop kick. Garza yells at Dawkins while he's down. Dawkins blocks the wing clipper and rocks Garza with a big right hand. Dawkins with a splash in the corner and a bulldog. Dawkins runs wild and Ford is hyped up at ringside. Ford suddenly goes down out of nowhere at ringside in front of the announce table. Ford just collapsed. Dawkins leans through the ropes and asks Ford if he's all right. Garza takes advantage of the distraction, nailing a drop kick and a kick to the head for the pin and the win. After the bell, Garza stands tall as the music plays. Dawkins goes out to check on Ford, who seems dazed and confused. He nods his head, says he's all right. Dawkins asks him if he's good. We go to commercial. Go back for a break, and next match is Ford versus Andrade. As Montez is going at it with Andrade in the ring. Let's come back from the break. Tom talks about how Ford collapsed during the match. Before the match, announces the play of the seriousness of the situation. Ford was checked on by medics before the match. Ford was insisted he's ready to go. Ford keeps short, headlock by Andrade, nails the belly suplex. Andrade with more offense as the crowd boos. Andrade fights Ford off, hitting a knee to the gut, and more offense to keep him grounded. Ford looks to power up, but Andrade sends him back down with a knee. Andrade tosses Ford out to the floor as the referee counts. Angel Garza approaches, but Angelo stares him down. Ford ends up fighting back on Andrade, whipping him hard into the punch glass. Garza checks on Andrade. Ford brings Andrade back in, but he can't put him away. Andrade drops Ford with another big shot to the face. He then kicks him while he's down. Andrade with a snap suplex to Ford for a 2 count. Ford fights up and out, but Andrade decks him. Ford comes right back with a running clothesline for a pop. Ford with more big moves before dropping Andrade again. Ford ends up making a comeback before he collapses again, and the referee calls the match. No contest. After the bell, the referee yells for a doctor to come out and checks on Ford. Dawkins also hits the ring. Ford is flat on his back, staring up and dazed. Andrade and Garza and Vega also look on. We see Murphy backstage watching a replay of last week's attack to injure Aleister Black's eye. Seth Rollins walks up and says Murphy made the decision. He's proud of Murphy, and Murphy should be proud of himself. The past is the past, and now we focus on the future. Murphy asks if Rollins put any thought into Dominic Mysterio's challenge for SummerSlam from earlier. Murphy thinks it's ridiculous because he's never been in the ring before. He's just sacrificing himself for his old man. Murphy asks if it's ridiculous, right? Rollins just smirks and walks off. We go to commercial. Back for the break. Tom announces Ruby White, Liv Morgan, and Dolph Ziggler for Raw Talk. We go back to Shane McMahon and his 3 dancers at Raw Underground. There appears to be some tension between the dancers. Eric Viking Raiders is in the next fight. Eric quickly takes his opponent down and pounds on him. Eric with another slam and strikes. Eric hits a German suplex and knees to his opponent off the ring. Shane says that was sick. Eric continued to dominate the fight and hits another knee to the face. Shane calls the fight. Eric celebrates with Ivar as we see his opponent dazed and laid out. Shane wonders who's going to be next. Announcers praise Shane's new concept some more. There will be one more fight tonight. Tom shows what happened to Montez earlier when he collapsed twice. Charlie's backstage outside of the trainer's room. Looks like the same room that they were using earlier for a segment. Angel Garza walks up and first with her son. Zelina and Andrade also walk up. Vega acts like they are so concerned with Ford. She wonders what this means for the title match at SummerSlam. Angelo Dawkins comes out of the trainer's room, and it looks like Ford was poisoned before the match. After all, he drinks his cup. What's in the cup? Bianca Belair also appears, and they have words. She wants to know who poisoned her husband. Vega says she'd never do something like that. Belair attacks her, and they brawl as the others pull them apart. Tom shows us surveillance camera footage from earlier in the day. We see several men and women, all in black. The ninjas running up to a transformer and throwing firebombs at it. They yell and cheer as the machinery catches on fire. A power box, just transformer box. And they run away, back to commercial. Back to the break, Charlie approaches the Hurt Business backstage. She knows this night hasn't gone how they planned. MVP accuses her of bad journalism because she should be asking about all the bizarre happenings on Raw tonight. MVP says her question should be about her sabotage because that's what is going on tonight. Shelton Benjamin asks if this is really a coincidence that there was sabotage on the night Raw Underground shows up. MVP also has an idea, and it sounds like the Hurt Business is headed to the Raw Underground. Well, if not familiar with Bobby Lashley, that's his other business outside of WWE. MMA. Tom announces Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton for next week. Plus Bayley versus Asuka, with Asuka getting a title shot from Sasha Banks at SummerSlam if she wins. Tom leads us to a video package of the recent happenings between Seth Rollins and Mysterio family. We go back to the ring. Out first comes Seth Rollins with Murphy. Seth takes the mic and says before he addresses Dominic SummerSlam challenge, he wants to address Tom Phillips. Rollins says, ask Tom if he thinks he's an unbiased journalist. If he takes pride in his body of work. Seth and Murphy have exited the ring now. Rollins asks Tom what he was doing last week and when Rey Mysterio's stupid kid was assaulting him with a kendo stick. Rollins is yelling at Tom now. Seth says Tom was cheering Dominic on last week, inciting his rage. Seth goes on about how Tom's voice matters. He is the voice of Raw and what part of the greater good, whether he likes it or not. Rollins yells at Tom some more and says it's his job to call things down the middle, so he doesn't create bias before it goes into the little brains of the fans at home. Rollins says if he doesn't, then Tom becomes a liability. Rollins says maybe the time has come to find a new voice of Raw. Rollins threatens Tom, but Samoa Joe stands up and says that's not going to happen, whether he brings Murphy or not. Joe tells Rollins to go back to the ring. So the rumor on Samoa Joe and the new faction was wrong, at least for this week. Make the point he came to make, or Joe will smack him in the lips and beat his disciple down. They stare each other down. Murphy stares at Joe from the side. Rollins tells Joe he does not want to do this. Joe takes off his headset and says yes, he does. The crowd rallies. Rollins and Murphy heads back to the ring. Rollins tells Joe to come in the ring, and what happens is not his responsibility. Joe gets ready for a fight as we go to commercial. Back from the break, Joe is on the outside of the ring. Rollins and Murphy have steel chairs in hand. Dominic suddenly attacks from behind with a kendo stick, unloading on Rollins and Murphy. Joe quickly rejoins the now team. Dominic uses the stick and slams the heels down. Dominic hits the 619 on Rollins. Dominic goes to the top, leaps to the floor with a big splash, taking Murphy and Rollins down at the same time. Dominic returns to the ring and grabs a steel chair, standing tall and keeping the ring clear. Rollins and Murphy retreat to the stage. Rollins takes the mic and says he's had enough. Dominic has jumped in way over his head, but if Dominic wants to fight at SummerSlam, he accepts. Tom looks worried as Joe and Byron talk about what just happened. Byron sends us to Shane McMahon, Raw Underground again. We see Dolph Ziggler in the ring with a competitor. I did not see this part of the inning. That's why I'm getting a dirt sheet. Shane points to how Ziggler wrestled at Kent State. Shoot fight style. Shane is calling play-by-play action on the mic while Ziggler ends up making his opponent submit. The Hurt Business arrives, all wearing suits. Shane gives MVP the mic. Bobby Lashley enters the ring and walks around. MVP says, until further notice, Raw Underground is being controlled by the Hurt Business. Shelton Benjamin is with him. MVP asks who wants to fight Lashley first. A random guy steps up and gets dominated, slammed, and knocked out. MVP says Lashley is having too much fun. MVP steps into the ring now. MVP has words with another competitor at ringside. Lashley picks up the guy by his neck and brings him in. MVP slams him and mounts him with strike. MVP asks, who's next? It looks like a lot of people are walking out of the building. Shelton steps up and MVP hypes him on the mic. Former Raw announcer and current NXT superstar Dio Madden steps up and they go at it. Shelton slams his opponent and ends up driving him off the platform with knee strikes. MVP asks if there's anybody else. Hurt Business exits the platform and just starts attacking the various male competitors in the building. Shane says that was amazing and they proved their point. But they're welcome to hang around. Shane says that's how it goes at Raw Underground. Anything goes. We get replays of the Hurt Business destroying everyone. Shane says that was insane. Shane says what an auspicious debut we had tonight with Raw Underground. And the Hurt Business is welcome back anytime. Shane says he can't wait to see what Raw Underground does next week. He hurries off. MVP takes the mic and poses with Shelton and Lashley. He says they are the Hurt Business and business is booming. Raw goes off the air from the inside of the Raw Underground warehouse setting while the Hurt Business stands tall amid the carnage. That concludes my Raw results for this week. Peace out. See you when I be. If you don't know, just call me, brothers and sisters.